This is my first reaction. Man, it's hot under this blanket. That's what I'm using. So I'm going to be reacting to Trey the Explainer. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. The Terror in the Deep Untouchable Fish Incident. Let's go. I remember this. You stopped using this intro, I remember it.
The ocean is a big place. Its mysterious aura as a place of monsters and wonders has long since captured the minds of us humans. Our fragile, air-breathing bodies aren't exactly
Is that a seahorse?
equipped to deal with the challenges presented by this environment.
So we can't breathe water.
For thousands of years, this world beneath the waves has been tantalizingly out of our reach. For most of human history, our knowledge of what lived in the ocean.
Wow. Can you imagine seeing that for the first time? Not having textbooks and stuff?
Depended almost entirely on what drifted to shore by the tides, or was brought up from the depths in fishermen's catches.
Wow, my
Strange creatures
very
either dead or dying by the time humans were able to see them. The thought of actually observing this
So he's saying things that breathe water die when they're out of water. It's good to know.
Underwater domain and encountering its denizens in their natural habitat was seen as downright fantasy. Some of our earliest legends speak of brave heroes who take the plunge into the waters to uncover their mysteries. Some versions of the ancient story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, bear the title, He Who Saw the Abyss. This is in reference to King Gilgamesh's trek to the bottom of the
I want that to be my title. Put that on my gravestone.
ocean in search of an aquatic flower that will grant him immortality. Tying stones to his feet and holding his breath, he descends into the darkness. The biblical story of Jonah being swallowed up by a massive fish could be seen as another, perhaps
Real
unintentional attempt at a voyage to the unknown depths of our oceans.
The deep surrounded me. To the roots of the mountains I sank.
Well, I probably sounded like an edgy atheist. I mean, like, I was just talking about giant fish and stuff.
This story, although largely fantastical, may have been an early attempt on theorizing how a human might feasibly survive the stresses of the deep ocean, by giving Jonah an air bubble within the belly of the great fish. It seems the famous Alexander the Great might have expanded on such rudimentary ideas. According to some legends, the Macedonian general was the first man to gaze at the world beneath the ocean's surface with his own two eyes, supposedly inventing a primitive diving bell made of glass and suspending the airtight vessel from his ship. Sitting inside his new invention, Alexander saw stuff down there that messed him up so bad that he reportedly said upon returning to the surface, "The world is damned and lost." I'm just picturing this undefeated war veteran freaking out at seeing a sunfish for the first time, thinking,
I mean, look at it. Wouldn't we all do that?
it's an elder god, the one place he dared not conquer. Over time, many other submersibles would be constructed and refined, and since those ancient days, we humans have explored much of the ocean. Thousands of unique and outlandish species that no one would have believed if they had not been photographed have been discovered. And yet, we are still only beginning to just get a peek at what remains down there. The true vastness of the oceanic depths has led to many theories as to what else lies within it, still unrecorded by us surface dwellers. One early attempt at exploration, very similar to Alexander the Great's, led to one incident that still to this day remains unresolved.
Man, those things are kind of, like, terrifying. I'm surprised there aren't, like, many... Yeah, that was a bad thought.
William Beebe was a famous American naturalist who traveled all over the globe studying plants and animals from the late 19th century to mid-20th century. He is probably best known for the extensive research he conducted on birds.
And why are all good-looking birds, like in other places, all we have are like, there's like one red one and the rest are like brown. Sucks.
In his theories on bird evolution, many of them way ahead of their time. Most notably, he predicted the existence of a four-winged dinosaur in the fossil record, 85 years before the discovery of Microraptor, which confirmed many of his theories long after his death. However, Beebe was also well known for his explorations of the ocean. He, along with
See, if that's what we had during the virus, I think a lot more people would be compliant with the restrictions, right? Like, that's peak fashion.
Dr. Otis Barton constructed the first bathyspheres, a vessel that should be familiar to any fan of Bioshock. These steel submersibles, with their distinctive spherical shape, were capable of resisting the high pressures of the deep ocean, allowing for one or more human occupants to go further than any human had gone before. The two men formed a partnership of sorts, and over the course of the 1930s, would make repeated attempts to dive
I bet it's smelly in there, right? Like it has to be.
deeper and deeper into the depths off the Bahamas. It was dangerous work, no one doubted. The bathyspheres were in no way flawless, constantly at risk of decompression, leakage, and dangerous air quality, among many other problems. Though high-pressure cylinders would supply a rather limited amount of oxygen, nausea and headaches attacked the humans inside. Cramped and claustrophobic, many died.
I remember seeing this video on like the History, Science, or Discovery Channel, one of them, of one of those, and like it had a small hole in it, and when they opened it, like fire hose, even stronger levels of water came out. It's horrifying.
Lives left Phoebe and Barton bruised and bloody from the vessel's relentless shaking. You'd have to be insane to attempt what these men attempted, and perhaps they were.
Man, look,
Through the bathysphere's thick fused quartz windows, Phoebe and Barton would gaze into the abyss, darker than any midnight sky. An electric lamp would send out a very small shaft of light into the gloom. Aside from this, visibility was incredibly limited. On November 22nd, 1932, 5 miles
And that thing looks really small. Like, I know it's perspective, but that looks like some sort of primitive drone thing.
southeast of Bermuda's Nonsuch Island in the Atlantic Ocean, Phoebe and Barton dove to 2,100 feet beneath the surface. It was here, peering out of the small windows and illuminated by the dim torchlight, that Phoebe describes in his 1934 book, Half a Mile Down, the most exciting experience of the whole dive. I would let him tell you it in his own words. Two fish went very slowly by, not more than 6 or 8 feet away,
Wow, I love this
each of
art.
which was at least 6 feet in length. They were of the general shape of large barracudas, but with shorter jaws, which were kept open all the time I watched them. A single line of strong lights, pale bluish, was strung down the body. The underjaw was armed with numerous fangs, which were illuminated either by mucus or indirect internal lights. The massive man-sized predatory fish, which Beebe would later dub the untouchable bathysphere fish, resembled larger cousins of the black dragonfish, which are typically no longer than a few inches. The two creatures briefly danced around the vessel and its blinding searchlight, curiously, only to drift back into the darkness, far away from the unwelcome visitors, never to be seen again. One can only picture the awe and wonder, but also fear that might have accompanied this experience, being trapped in a stuffy, cramped metal ball, with the ocean violently pushing in on you at all sides, as a pair of inquisitive, glowing alien creatures observe you for the first time, just as you observe them, nowhere to run, over 2,000 feet from the nearest chance at a breath of fresh air. Throughout his dives, Beebe spotted several other curious and elusive species unknown to science. The abyssal rainbow gar, the pallid sailfin, the 5-line constellation fish, and the 3-starred anglerfish. None of these...
Yeah, I heard that 5-lined fish. I hear its bioluminescent pattern is similar to like a squid or something. And that's what he might have been confusing it for, or so I heard.
Have been observed outside of Beebe's 1930s visits, and quite controversially, Beebe gave them all scientific names, an action that most of the time involves obtaining a physical specimen for fellow scientists to verify, called a haplotype.
Yeah, let him do
Due
it.
to his lack of following
He deserves
protocol, Beebe's untouchable fish remain unconfirmed by science. Nonetheless, these exceptional marine fauna remains some of the more plausible
And that guy
cryptids
had
out there,
immaculate drip.
more likely to exist than Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. The incident is unlikely
I may or may not believe Bigfoot exists. Let's continue.
to be an outright hoax, considering Beebe was a pretty reliable scientist by most accounts, and many of the observations he made on other
believes
dives
that
have
he's
been
seen what
confirmed
he
by later
thinks
scientific
he's seen, right?
research. If so, what were these fish, and how come we haven't been able to find them since? You'd expect at least one of them would have ended up in bycatch or something by now. Well, my theory is that some of his untouchable fish species are already known to science, just not by the names Beebe gave them. A few of them might have been simply misidentified and inaccurately described by the naturalist in the poor lighting conditions, and with his admittedly, at the time, not fully functional brain. Is it possible that the pallid sailfin was in fact a species of squid? Perhaps the 5-line constellation fish was not a fish at all, but a type of comb jelly or sonatophore. Maybe BB simply incorrectly guessed some of the observations he made. Or perhaps there might be an even more interesting explanation. Maybe the species he described became extinct since the 1930s. Humans have been driving many deep-sea species to the brink of extinction,
Man, that's
and it has been
depressing.
estimated that around 158 fish species have become extinct since the year 1900.
Bro.
Or maybe they are still out there, just waiting to be rediscovered by some adventurous
hope.
human. Hey, as I said, the ocean is a big place. Not big enough for a megalodon to keep going undetected, but definitely big enough for other unknown species.
You know, that reminds me. Everyone's like, man, and I hope this thing's still there, or, man, I wish I could discover something new. But you have nature around you, like almost everyone does. Just go out and go look.
And with that, thank you so much for watching this shorter installment of Trey the Explainer. Hope to see you next time.
Yep, it's coming to an end. Well, that was a good video.